Hi there. Welcome to chapter 3 of our little adventure in autism, the story of my son Jason. My name is Cheryl Hunter, and I have my youngest son named Jason has severe autism, and I'm telling the story so that it'll help any parents out there that maybe are new to the autism world, parents who have children with autism, or a child with autism that maybe they're entering their teen or young adult life, because my son is going to be 26 next month. So I've had the experience from the infant. He was diagnosed at age 2 all the way to young adult. So everything I have to tell you is my own experience, and I just want to share it. I just want to put it out there for you. Anyway, so last chapter, I talked about how he had some delays because of hyperflexion, and because he hadn't developed the muscle he needed, and I don't know if it was just delays that were part of whatever however his brain was wired, and his development was delayed, or if it was because of the medication, the Klonopin that he was on to control the seizures. And as I said in the beginning, he was diagnosed at 4 months old with infantile spasms. The autism diagnosis comes later in the story. I forgot to mention that before. For now, where we are in the story is he has been receiving occupational therapy because of the hyperflexion. Now, if I'm not sure if he hadn't have had those delays, if he wasn't crawling, or I mean, if he was already crawling, walking, and doing all the things that he should do by age 2.5, I'm not sure that I would have received the occupational therapy. So there's that. I really believe that I would have had a lot more of a struggle to get the kind of help that we ended up receiving if it hadn't have been for that. So I'm grateful. Anyway, the occupational therapy was to help him develop the muscles he needed and the coordination to crawl and walk. And it worked along with, like I said in the last video, along with this spinning walker rocking thing that my mom bought him. He would spin so fast, everybody, oh, he's going to hurt himself. He shouldn't be spinning that fast. I don't think it's good for him. I'm thinking, he's happy doing it, and it's totally making a difference in his ability to move and stuff. So I realized later, or learned later, it was because it had to do with his sensory system, and it helped to balance the vestibular system. I'm pretty sure that's how it goes, so that he was able to calm things, and then he can learn. So it's like in those times where things are calm in his brain, those are the times he can actually learn some things and get feedback from his environment. So I believe that's how it worked. Anyway, so for today, what I want to share is that we had someone coming in, and the funny thing is, later in years, this person that came in to do the therapy was somebody that I ended up in the circus with, she and her husband at the time. So that was kind of funny coincidence, which I don't believe in coincidences. That's another story. Anyway, so she kind of asked me some questions, and I got the impression in the questions she was asking me that she was fishing for info without wanting to outright say something. I mean, I just kind of had that intuition. Now, if we go back a few years before Jason was born, my sister and I mean, autism was not something that everybody knew about. I think I don't remember when Rain Man came out, but that movie was the first real introduction to the public about what it was, I think. And that's all I knew of it, other than there were a couple of older kids that were involved in the YMCA. Wendy, my sister Wendy, and I were involved in the YMCA. We taught gymnastics and we're in circus and all that. And these two young, they were older teens, young adults, old teens. They were nonverbal. they would scream, they would slap themselves, things like that. And we just really felt for the parents. But and nobody said the word autism at that time. We didn't know what, we just knew something was wrong. So when we'd talk about our kids, and we had such, my 3 daughters were just, the perfect textbook children. In fact, a little advanced in their development and so on. And we would talk about, oh, what's it going to be like, And when I was carrying Jace, I said, it's going to be so weird to have a boy. It's so different. And I said, I'm so grateful for having healthy children. I don't know what I'd do. And I remember being asked, how do you feel about disabilities? What would be the worst one that you would think of? And it's kind of an odd question, and I hope it's not insulting anyone out there. But I guess immediately I thought autism, because the only education I had was Rain Man. The only education I had was what was known, which was nothing, really. And I thought, like so many people thought, that they don't know how to love, that there's no emotion, that they end up in institutions rocking, and that's it. That's what I thought. So that was the one that scared me the most. I could deal with anything, but please not that. And so that's why this is very interesting, right? Be careful what you wish for, kind of thing. But anyway, or be careful what you fear, I should say. So this therapist asked me some specific questions about his speech and so on. And I was glad, because I had been thinking, why isn't he speaking? Why isn't he looking me in the eye? Why isn't he doing the things that my other kids did? And in the back of my mind, autism kept popping up. I didn't know enough about it, but there was something there. So I asked her straight out. I said, is there a possibility that this may be autism? And she said, I am so glad you asked me that. I'm not allowed to say that. I'm not allowed to suggest that could be it. But if you ask me what, then I can talk about it. So we had a nice conversation about it. And she gave me some tips on how to get him diagnosed, and then what services we would be able to access once he was diagnosed. And at the time, I was advised to contact it was a place in San Diego, and it was the Autism Institute, I think it was called. Anyway, so there was just a questionnaire that I survey that I filled out. Questionnaire about him, and survey about our family, and just different things. And then I sent that in. That was kind of the first phase. And the second phase was, I believe we had a telephone interview with somebody. And then once they said, yes, we believe that your son has autism, has signs of autism, then we were able to take that and go to Inland Regional Center. And here in California, Inland Regional Center is, I live in Southern California, and it is the place that sort of, they appropriate the funds that are given to the state for developmental disabilities, and for services for children and adults with disabilities. So I went and had him assessed, and sure enough, they accepted him, and all of a sudden I'm receiving all these free services. It was amazing. And I feel I'm grateful, but I feel bad for the parents of today, because it is so much more difficult to get those services. So that started us off on a whole new adventure, because we were given all these different services. I had weekly visits from different people giving him discrete trial training, which is things like learning how to sort things. For example, they'd have M&Ms, and he would have to sort them by color. There'd be toys that were all different, but they were the same color. So it was teaching him how to differentiate between colors, shapes, objects, things like that. So that was just one thing. They did so many things with him. And in the meantime, we were working with him on speech. That's the next video. I'm going to tell you how I got my son to say his first words. So hope this didn't go too long. Thank you for following and for watching. And please subscribe and share and comment, so that I know that these are, doing some good. And if there's anything in particular that you'd like to see me include in my talks, just let me know. Thank you. Have a great day.